Alright, so I just did the wheel on the other side. It's all good, put back together. Now I'm just doing this side. And the first thing we're going to do is take all the lug nuts off, take the wheel and tire off, and then we'll get to the hub and I'll show you guys how to remove that. Alright, all 5 lug nuts are removed. So now we're going to have to remove this cover, which is pretty easy to do. So what I like to do with these is just wedge a flat tip screwdriver just kind of get it to the behind that lip. There you go. So now we have access to this cotter pin, which we're going to have to remove. Easy enough. Retainer. There's the nut. Now we just have to pull the hub off. And sometimes these cooperate, a lot of the time they don't. So if you need to, just give it some assistance. And there you have it. So I'll meet you guys at the workbench. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to pop these races out. We'll do this top one and the seal for last. But I want to show you guys this one. You can see the old race that's still in there. The bearing itself is more or less free floating. It'll just fall out. But you'll need to kind of assist the race out. So for that, I like to use a large punch. Put the punch on top of the lip of the race. You can kind of hear that. It's not going outside of the hub like that. It's going up against the race. So what I like to do with these is put them in an angle. You guys can see it's more or less moved out. So now's the fun part. Now we have to kind of get creative how we're going to remove this thing. And there it is, popped right out. So we're going to knock this one out, and we're honestly going to do this the same way. Once this seal and that bearing and race are out, we'll clean out the inside of this hub. So I've also used this thing as a breaker bar, but this is the redneck way of doing this. There it is. Alright. So we're going to pull this race out the same way we took the other one out. And you're going to find the lip. And there it is. So clean out the inside here, pull out the rest. It's not important that you get all of it out. Of course it helps, but I mean, grease is grease. Even bad grease is still, it's still not going to hurt anything once you put all new grease in anyways. I mean, you're splitting hairs. Somebody's probably going to complain about that in the comments, but it's not their equipment, it's for them. But here is the new larger bearing. And there's kind of a trick with this. First off, here is the roller bearing. We'll leave that aside. Now here is your bearing race. Now you're going to stick this in here. What I like to do is I like to take the old bearing, and that'll kind of help us with getting it back in. And then get a big socket. And that's right up against the inner flange. Get our new bearing. Get yourself a couple squirts of new grease. these new bearings. You don't have to get a whole hell of a lot of them, a lot of grease in these, because you're going to grease the whole hub anyways. So you just want to saturate the bearing with the grease. And there you have it. So now, we grab our new seal. These stupid seals were more expensive than the damn bearings. What I've found, you get a flat piece such as a board. You can get them in a lot easier. So that allows you to be flat up against it with equal amounts of force, and like you guys saw, it flattens itself out just fine. So now for the other side. Okay, so we're nice and seated. Get the old bearing. And if you want, this one you can use the wood for, because it'll just flatten itself out. It doesn't go inside of the hub. And we're right up against the inner flange, so we're ready to go back onto the trailer. So here's our hub with new bearings in it, and just kind of guide it on and into place. Here is the other bearing. So we have our retaining hardware, which I've already cleaned off. You don't want to lose this cage either. Just going to cinch her back down. There we go. Now I'm just going to put a bunch of grease into it. Alright, that's probably more than enough. There she be. So now it's time to drop it onto the ground and drive